New census numbers tonight show the changing face of the American population. Will Kane has that story.
Yeah, Elliot, the Hispanic population, that's what this is about. We've all known that the Hispanic population is growing. But the Pew Hispanic Center came out with numbers tonight that say the population has finally reached the 50 million mark, which is hugely eye-opening. Take a look at some of these numbers. The Hispanic population has grown by 43% since 2000. Let me put that in perspective for you. Over that same time period, if you put all other ethnic groups together, they've grown about by 5%. So this obviously has wide-ranging meaning for our society, but this is a political show, right, Elliot? Sometimes?
Sometimes,
kind of.
Oh, yeah.
So what does that mean for politics? Joining me now is Reverend Samuel Rodriguez. He's the president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. Reverend, so what does this mean? Are these new voters going to be Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Socialists? Where are they going to be?
Well, it means one thing here. Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. This is where Sweet Home Alabama reconciles with La Macarena. The reality is, if you remember Richard Nixon's old Southern strategy, this is the 21st century Southern strategy, where Hispanics emerge as the quintessential independent bloc for the 2012 election. It's a great day in America.
You know, you're right on point by talking about the South, because the Pew study shows that the states in the South, like Alabama and Georgia, are some of the fastest growing Hispanic populations in the nation. You know, I've been reading a book, Reverend, by Dr. James Gimple at the University of Maryland, and he says that when immigrant groups throughout history in the United States have moved here, they adopt the voting patterns of the geographic area they move into. And, you know, traditionally that's meant New York. And New York is liberal, so a lot of these immigrant groups have become Democrats. What does this mean, though? These immigrants are moving to the South. Are we looking at Republican voters?
We are. We're looking at the potential of the Republican Party once again capturing a significant portion of the Hispanic electorate. Now, look, this is, look, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. We're not talking about New York, California, Texas, and Florida anymore. This is an opportunity for the Republican Party to make significant inroads in this community. Post facto, the immigration reform debacle. Yes, it's true. These immigrants and the Latino community may very well absorb the ethos of the geographical region they live in. The South, very Christian, very pro-faith, very pro-family. Not really a community in a region that looks like, smells like, believes the same values of the Hispanic American electorate. The question is, what will the Republican Party do? Will they have an epiphany, a revelation, a moment of Zen today, or will they wait after 2012 to reconcile with the Hispanic American community?
So what's your prediction? Well, let's talk short term, because it's not just these states in the South. There's some swing states that have growing Hispanic populations as well, states like Missouri, Montana, Colorado. So what's your prediction? Do you think Republicans will be able to capitalize on this population growth?
I think Republicans can capitalize only if there is a moment of coming together on the issue of immigration reform. 44% of Hispanics supported George W. Bush in 2004. If the immigration reform debacle would not have taken place in 2006, the Republicans were poised to capture over 50% of the vote.
But Reverend, what does that mean? What does that mean by immigration reform? So do Hispanics have a substantive problem with immigration reform? What do Republicans have to do to win them over on that issue?
First of all, perception versus reality. The Hispanic electorate is not in favor of amnesty. The Hispanic electorate is in favor of the rule of law and the application of the rule of law. In the matter of fact, surveys and research that have been taking place recently indicate the Hispanic American electorate is completely in favor of stopping all illegal immigration. What the Hispanic American electorate has a problem with is the rhetoric stemming out of certain segments out of the Republican Party, is the rhetoric that embraces threads that seem to be xenophobic and nativist. So the Republican Party should address the Hispanic American electorate and finally say, we support legal immigration. We thank God for the Hispanic American community.
So you're telling me it's just a rhetoric problem, not a substance problem?
It's both rhetoric and substantive, but there's a reason why Hispanics will never 92% support one party. There's a reason for that. Hispanics remember Ronald Reagan. It was Ronald Reagan who understood that Hispanics were natural conservatives. So I do believe at the end of the day, if the Republicans right now take advantage of this opportunity and understand it is impossible to win the White House in 2012 without the Hispanic American electorate, and they reach out to leaders in the Hispanic community and say, how do we deal with the immigration reform situation in a way that is not amnesty, but likewise in a way that does not seem to alienate the Hispanic or the immigrant community?
Real quickly, Sam, I got to ask you one question. You said the Hispanic population will never vote in a 90% margin like that. If you look at New York Times exit polls since 1972, the black population has voted 80% for the Democratic presidential candidate, while Hispanic populations has been more about 60-40. Do you predict the Hispanic population will still be divided like that?
I even predict it'll be, at the end of the day, a 50-50 split, and leaning more and more towards the Republican Party or independent social conservative movement. Hispanics have a very strong faith ethos and a very strong social conservative thread. They are also committed to justice and education and healthcare reform. So in order for both parties to succeed, they have to move towards the center.
All right, Reverend, I appreciate it. I certainly hope you're right. I know you don't, Elliot.
No, look, if what the Reverend is saying is independent voters who judge every candidate on the merits, that's exactly what every voter should do. I've always believed that.
That's right.
I always like it when the candidate, anyway.
Thanks, Sam.